What's up, Fox Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Fox Pose, your host Fox, aka Alex. I've actually got a special request from one of my fans out there. They're actually doing a high school project on, let me just look it up, does gender representation affect the player of video games? And look, I play a lot of video games, so I feel I'm probably better, more suited to it, because I don't play just Call of Duty and FIFA and GTA. I've played so many games out there. Mainstream stuff to weird stuff to extra weird stuff to artistic stuff to stuff I don't even remember because I've actually lost count how many games I've played. But guys, this will be a discussion video, so I'm going to be spouting out I'm going to answer these questions, spout out my opinion, my justification to it. If there's anything you agree or disagree with, leave a comment down below. I always love having a discussion about things. Keep it civil, guys. There will also be a survey for you guys as well, just to help. Look, I'm a big believer of helping if you can help someone out that's doing something cool or great, I think we should try and do it more often. So if you guys don't mind, there'll be a link down below, and I'll probably do a link as well on my Fox Plays page as well. There'll be a link to a survey, so help this girl out. She's doing a year 12 project, and it's cool to see, because when I was in high school, we did no projects on video games. Video games were ignored. They were like, video games, they're shit. Movies are the only art form out there. How dare you even talk about video games? They're for kids. But anyway, let's on to the first question. So let's go. First question: do violent video games affect you? If so, how? Honestly, no. It really doesn't. I guess it's just how you brought up and how you perceive it. With video game violence, I always just felt that it was just fantasy, and it's honestly the same as you watching a movie and you playing a game. People always argue, oh, but it's interactive, so you are doing the violence. Well, it still feels disconnected and disjointed. It's the same as a character doing it on the screen. Like, I guess you are controlling it, but I guess where do you go? And I always feel like age is really important. Like, I feel like kids should play something. Ratings are good. Ratings are there for a reason. Like, kids should not be playing violent games at a young age. When they're a bit more mature and they understand, hey, this is just a fantasy. It's just this is not how real life really happens. Like, honestly, you know, I really hate when they go, oh, Grand Theft Auto is a murder simulator. People are going to go around killing people. And honestly, how many copies of Grand Theft Auto is sold? And honestly, how many times have you seen cars get stolen? People running around shooting each other. Like, cars got stolen all the time before Grand Theft Auto came out. Like, ask anyone who has a VL Commodore. You can just put the keys in. So this is a how-to tutorial how to steal a VL Commodore. Put any object into the lock, turn it. Put any object into the key lock, turn it. It's stupid that people think that it's. And anyway, if you're not a disturbed child, that's a bad word, but if you're just someone that just doesn't understand, like if you literally are a sociopath or that, doesn't matter if you're going to watch a movie, a game, read a book, like, I don't know, read Mein Kampf by Adolf Hitler, you're not going to go around killing Jews. And I don't know, if you play Grand Theft Auto, you're not going to go around killing people. And if you watch, I don't know, like a horror movie with slasher, you're not going to go around slashing people. It's just, it's a ridiculous thing, and I completely disagree that video games change. It's just how mature you are. Next question. Has a video game or a video game character made you feel different about yourself? Yeah, definitely, man. It depends. If you want me to list every character ever, well, I'm gonna need like 2 hours for this. I guess how I think is Final Fantasy VI, the main character, Terra. If you guys don't know, spoiler, it's midway through the game. Oh, it's not midway, it's early game. But basically you find out the main character that you are, Terra, she has no memory. Eventually she remembers who she is, fair enough, yada yada yada. But then she finds out, now in Final Fantasy VI, the world is destroying magic, but the bad guys are trying to control magic and use it for their own will to take over the world. You find out that the main character, Terra, she is effectively half human and half Esper, which is the people that have abilities to control magic. So I guess she feels different, and when I remember playing as her as the character, I always just felt like, I guess it was like that feeling of, I guess, being completely different to everybody else. Like, I guess feeling like an immigrant, that you're not going to fit in with everybody else because you got that special ability. It's just, she represents that feeling of you're always going to be completely different because you're just you just are. But the cool thing about that game was, even though you were different, your friends and your party members, they loved you and they accepted you who you were. So that's what was cool about the game. That it doesn't matter who you are, you are accepted. And yeah, it was awesome. And I guess another big character I can think of is Chun-Li from Street Fighter 2. Now, when I was a young kid growing up, girls weren't allowed to play video games. It was a very male-dominated world. But when I played Street Fighter 2 and I saw Chun-Li, I was like, oh, okay, she's a girl. And she's one of the best fighters in the game, and probably is still one of the best fighters in Street Fighter 5. She's awesome. But it's just cool to see a girl that was so strong and kicking ass. And she wasn't over-sexualized or anything. She was just wearing a traditional Chinese costume that a person in feudal China would wear. And I thought that was really cool. It made me feel different, like how I saw women. Because I guess growing up, how boys are meant to play, Tonka trucks and girls are meant to play Barbies. And me seeing this girl, Chun-Li, who's a fighter who can beat the shit out of fucking M. Bison and other male characters, to me I was just like, why can't other girls do that? Why? And I always had that mentality in my head that why do girls have to do this and why do guys have to do that? Like, why? If that's what you like, that's what you like. That's all it should be. Simple as that. So that changed my perspective. And anyway, on to the next question, because I'm gonna go list more and more characters. Do you believe video games can affect a child's social skills and attitude towards people? Yeah, but I think movies can do the same thing. Look, I guess it's different. When I grew up, my games had no talking in it, as in no speech in it. Unless if you had like a PC games back then, they had speech. But when I'm playing Super Nintendo, there was no talking in it. It was just text. So I guess it changes, but I guess for a more future perspective, attitudes towards people. There's two ways of answering this. So attitude towards people would be, well, for me, growing up, I was actually a terrible reader, and because I wanted to finish Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy, Illusion of Time, that was a very text-heavy game, so I had to learn how to read, and because I wanted to finish the game, it kind of helped me read, so it helped me in that regards that it gave me that capacity to read better. Social skills, I guess, for me, when I was young, it was hard for me to connect with other people that didn't play games, because I guess that was my whole life, and I always got treated differently because I played games a lot, but then it helped me connect better with people who did play games, because we had that extra bond. And even though back then there was less two-player games or less co-op, it was just you still had that fun of, your turn, you die, my turn, you turn. And I guess that helped build my social skills. But actually the big memory of me of my social skills changing was when Pokemon Red came out, Red and Blue. I remember it was the first time, that's when games started becoming more accepted. And I remember not only were the nerds playing Pokemon, but everyone was playing Pokemon. Like even like all the cool kids, or whatever stereotype you want to throw out there, everyone played Pokemon. Everyone collected Pokemon cards. If you didn't play Pokemon, you were the loser. And that's how it was, honestly, when I grew up. If you did not play Pokemon that year when it became big, you were the loser. And I found that with Pokemon, it actually really brought people together, because I found the game easy. I could finish it. I remember people used to come to me to get help, and so it was kind of like that connecting experience where everyone's like working together to get that common goal of finishing Pokemon, being the Elite Four, and collecting Pokemon cards. So in a way, it does help social skills. However, flip side, Call of Duty and other online games like Dota 2, Counter Strike, but I'm going to focus mainly on Call of Duty. And League of Legends as well. Yeah, probably League of Legends and Call of Duty are probably the worst communities out there. I know Dota 2 is pretty bad too. But those communities, the people on there can be ranged between very young, in their teenagers, maybe a bit younger, depending if their parents go, yeah, I'll buy you the game, or older. And I find that because the game is it forces people to, I guess, it's kind of like a sports. Like, you're versing that team, so you trash talk the other team. But then I think people take it to another extreme, because it's not face to face, and you're on the internet. So if you're going to be screaming at someone and arguing with someone, I guess that's how you're going to it will affect you, and it will probably affect the way you deal with problems. And I notice it time and time again. I'm a very calm, collected person. I very rarely get angry at someone who, I don't know, who's not good at the game. Like, just, whatever. Not everyone can be good at games, and or you can be, but I can switch it off, but a lot of people might not. And I feel like some people, they take out their problems from in their real life onto the game, onto other people, or they'll feel this and might feel like, you know what, maybe I am worthless, maybe I do suck. And it does build that. It just depends on your own perspective of yourself and your own self-esteem. So if your perspective of yourself is very low and you put yourself down, then yeah, it will affect you. So it's one of those things that if you're not strong-willed, it will affect you negatively. When playing video games such as God of War and Grand Theft Auto 4, where women are objectified, do you believe a male or female can change the way they act around each other after playing these games? Ooh, I think it just depends on your perspective. It's back to perspective. If violence in games doesn't affect you, then seeing a different gender act a different way wouldn't affect you either. If you only grew up seeing women objectified, you will perceive that as that's the normal thing to do. But if you grew up, I guess you had like a strong family values, or you respect your mum, or you had a cool sister or whatever, and you see girls like that, you might just go, oh, that's just that character. You won't say that's a woman, you would say, oh, that's that character, who happens to be a girl, but that's just her. And I'll give you another example, is like, I try not to label things. Like, even though I did use labels then, I don't use labels in real life. But I guess that goes back down to your perspective. So if you think that's the normal thing to do, then that's normal. But if you don't think that's the normal, you play a game like GTA, like God of War, like, what's another game that objectifies women? Leisure Suit Larry, maybe? Then that's how you will see it. But if you grew up, with strong female role models, or normal female role models, you just be like, oh, that's just that character doing that thing. And you won't even pay attention to the gender. It's just that character. Imagine you saw like one girl that was just, I don't know, really, really mean or aggressive, and you're gonna think, oh, all women are like that. No, it's just that person. It's nothing to do with the gender. And if you bring it back to the gender, then that's how you perceive everything. What is your opinion on how females are depicted and stereotyped in video games? Honestly, it's definitely gotten better. Back in my old day. I sound so old when I say this. So back in my day, so strong female role models, Chun-Li, Cammy from Street Fighter 2 as well. I guess female characters in the Final Fantasy games and Chrono Trigger. Yeah, they were a little bit sexualized, but not that much. But it's tough. It's a hard thing to say. I think definitely now though we're much more improved. Like, I think what they did to Lara Croft, to the new Lara Croft, as opposed to the old Lara Croft, I think the new Lara Croft is so much more cooler. She looks more vulnerable, but she's stronger. She's like strong, fierce, and there's so many great female role models out there. It's just the thing is, I think because we're so focused on this question that we kind of ignore the outlier to the rule. But there's heaps of good female characters. And you know what? I'm going to look it up. I'm going to list them right now. First one that really comes to my mind, Samus Aran from Metroid games. That game, the whole game was about a male, because it's wearing full armor. You don't know what it looks like. So you assume it's a male, fighting these aliens, fighting the space pirates and that. And then at the end, the game reveals that you're a female. And I think that was the coolest thing as a kid. I was like, wow. Like, it really changed my perspective. Like I said, back to Chun-Li, back to Samus, it really changed my perspective that women can kick ass. And there's no reason that they can't. And then you've got other great characters so you've got the new Lara Croft, much better than the old one. Aya Brea from Parasite Eve, a girl that is a police investigator, and that she has to stop some virus that's spreading around New York City. That's pretty cool. And she doesn't dress, slutty or anything, just in a normal, detective outfit. It's cool. It's just cool to see a character like that. Jill Valentine from Resident Evil. She's fighting zombies. She's wearing army kind of uniform. That's cool. There's heaps of female characters. As I said, Chun-Li from Street Fighter 2, main character from Final Fantasy 6, Terra, as I was discussing a bit earlier, the protagonist from Clock Tower 1, 2, 3, and 4, all female role models fighting against a serial killer, and they're the ones that beat the serial killer up. Not a man, a female does. There's so many characters out there, and I always think fighting games, some fighting games are a bit over sexualized. I understand, especially Soul Calibur. I'm looking at you, Soul Calibur. When I see a girl kicking ass, then yeah, I think but I think it's getting better and better, definitely. But there's still plenty of female characters. I just think when people ask that question, they haven't played enough games. They've probably only played the bare minimum, and they don't know what else is out there. How are males depicted? So on the opposite spectrum, I do think there's not enough normal males, as in like where's the males with a dad bod and a beard and he's a bit dishevelled. No, I do think most male guys are either look pretty like a woman, like kind of like Alucard from Castlevania Symphony of the Night, or usually the Japanese men in video games, they look a bit feminine, or they're a little bit skinny. But then like on the opposite spectrum, usually in an American game, usually the male character is like, oh yeah, America. But then hey, with those fantasy games, you can create a lot of those, like, you know, role playing games out there now. You can create your own character, and people just create what they want to create. So yeah, I do think there is that gender stereotype though, that the male characters, I guess that they're usually attractive or good looking. There's no like ugly male character. I can't think of one like off the top of my head. I can if you went to the indie game scene, but I'm probably talking to. I'll keep it back to the mainstream stuff. I guess maybe Mario, maybe he's a little bit pudgy, but he can run really fast. So I don't know, maybe just eats too many carbohydrates. All right, so back to males and females. Do you believe characters in video games give an unrealistic body type? Ooh, yeah, I guess so. There's not many. Oh, it's hard. You have to look at because I look at everything. Whereas a lot of people this is their scope of games. It's like this big, but my scope of games is, yeah. As you can see, you can't see it on the. There you go. Oh, you can see my hand still. Damn it. There you go. Now you can't see how far my arms go. But what I'm saying, like I guess Mario and Luigi. Actually, they're actually a good example because Mario's actually short and pudgy, and Luigi's actually a bit more slimmer, but he's taller. And then you got Waluigi, who's like super lanky, and then Wario's just like overweight. So I guess the Mario Brothers have done a pretty good job of representing all the male body types. Unrealistic body types, yeah, I do find most characters do look a bit unrealistic. Like they either look good or perfect. I find there's no like, oh, this is just an average guy doing. Even like a game where he plays like the average boy or something, or the average girl, they don't look average. They look just a little bit better than average. But I guess what's the average now? Maybe in 10 years' time there'll be just beautiful people everywhere. So maybe that will be the average. Who knows? But yeah, when you play games like Gears of War, I'm like, damn, what kind of gym routine does that guy go on, Marcus Phoenix? Or even like freaking... One thing, a good point was Resident Evil, Chris Redfield, in Resident Evil 1, he's like, you know, relatively ripped, you know, fighting zombies, he's alright. But then Resident Evil 5, I don't know if he's on the juice or not, but he's pretty buff now. How do you think future game creators can fix the issues of stereotyping? I guess it's hard if you have a big cast of characters. It's easy to put the fat guy or the pudgy person or guy with acne or terrible facial hair. I don't know. But if you have one character against the world, I guess you want to try and make him. I don't know. It's a tough thing. But then again, you can go back to movies where most actors are quite attractive, and there's only like a few actors that some people say are ugly, but I don't see them as ugly, but they just look a bit different. So I guess the only way you could fix that is just to keep making more different characters. But I guess with games like, for example, like maybe like an army game like Call of Duty or Battlefield, because there's so many men in that game. Technically, anyone can enlist in the army as long as you pass the fitness test. Like, I'm sure there's going to be some average person in it, and yeah, I guess I don't know. You just got to keep trying, I guess. If we keep perceiving it as a stereotype, then it is a stereotype. So I don't know. What are some major stereotypes of males, females, and children and LGBT in video games? For me, males usually the hero, usually the villain as well, but usually pretty strong. There's not many games where you play as a loser, like a guy that's just like, he has nothing going for him. Like even Mario's got a wicked plumbing business, and at least he can run really fast. But there's not many games we play as a male that's like a loser. That's, I don't know, it's not that talented or anything. And I guess with girls, they can sometimes be the princess or the damsel in distress, the one that you've got to rescue. So there is that stigma, but I think we've come a long way, and there's actually a lot more games. If you look into the Japanese role-playing game side of things, you'll find there's actually quite a lot of strong female characters in it. And hey, there's even female bad guys. The one that comes to my head is but usually though the female bad guys usually a little bit slutty. So I don't know, like the Black Queen from Battletoads. She's I don't know what she's doing, but and then children usually they're there to be rescued, but there are times where sometimes the kid's like the strong one, and that's kind of cool as well. I guess Last of Us Ellie's character, she's younger and she's got to deal with a horrible situation that was destroyed by infected people and bandits everywhere. So she's a pretty cool character, that she's a teenager who's pretty tough. And then there's that game Papa and Yo. It's an indie game where you play as a kid that's got to take his monster pet from place to place, but that monster pet has abuse. If he comes across abusive substances, he gets angry and starts attacking the kid. It's actually meant to be a representation of an abusive father and a child. So that's a game that actually does help you see a different perspective as well, back to one of my other points. But LGBT, then I'm going to say flat out said they're not represented that well. If someone out there can correct me, that's fine, cool, let me know, because I'd love to know. But there's not many, I don't really think of that many lesbian or gay characters, or transgender even, I guess. Yeah, it's not very discussed. It's not really disgusting. The only like gay characters I can think of are in Mass Effect and Dragon Age, both made by the same company, BioWare, believe it or not. And I don't know, the gay guy, so that gay elf that you can, he just seems like just a flirty guy. I don't see him as a gay person. I just see him as just someone who just likes people, I guess. Who likes people. And lesbians, I don't really see it. Like Liara is, I guess, can go both ways in Mass Effect too, but she's just in the Mass Effect trilogy, but she's just an intense person that feels connection with people a lot stronger. So yeah, that's a tough one. Like there's not, I haven't honestly come across it. I've played a lot of games, so I don't know. I haven't seen it that often. Do you believe video games can affect how you grow up? Yes. Simple as that. That's the answer. Oh, if yes, why? Alright. Okay, fine, I'll explain it. It's the same, it's just what your influences are. I guess if you grew up watching a lot of movies, a lot of action movies, you're probably going to grow up being some macho guy. If you grow up playing video games, that's probably going to be your role models. It's just how it is. If you get exposed to art or reading, that's just how it is. So it's simple as that. I found that me playing games growing up, because I did not play heaps of the same game. And what I'm talking about is those kids that only play Call of Duty and FIFA and that's it, and that's the only true perspective, then they won't see much. But for me, because I played so many different types of video games on Super Nintendo, Mega Drive, PlayStation, 64, Dreamcast, yada, I can keep going on and on. There was so many, because I kept playing different game, I learned different perspective. It kind of built that thing of that something could teach you something. And I guess it's the same like if someone who goes traveling all the time, because obviously when you go traveling it's a different culture, and I guess traveling is a bit easier because you're out of Australia, you're out of the comfort zone, so you're going to see something like, oh wow, these Japanese people have different customs, they bow a lot, or in Europe people are a lot more, I don't know, more open, more, I guess, friendly, no offense to Australia, or I don't know, America, they're really proud of their country, like super proud of their country in a patriotic way, and it really changes it. And I didn't have that growing up as a kid and traveling, but for me playing games all the time, and I was playing a lot of role-playing games, so I learned a lot about different character types, and I always thought that, it's always a different perspective, so yeah, of course, video games can affect the way you grow up. And but it's just everything in balance, so there's no right or wrong way to grow up. Well, there is a wrong way to grow up, I guess, but it gets you worried too much about it. You're just gonna, I don't know, you're gonna be too paranoid looking after your kid or whatever. Alright, last question. As we know, video gaming is becoming a very common hobby. Do you believe video games can help with stress and relaxation? Yes. And no. At the same time. Same thing, everything in moderation. I personally find video games very relaxing. If I haven't played video games for usually 3 days or so, yeah, about 3 days, which doesn't happen very often, but when it does, I'm just like, oh. If I'm hanging out with people all the time, that's cool, man, because I love people. That's my biggest things. I love hanging out with people, playing video games, listening to music. If I didn't do those three things, I reckon it would affect me negatively. But it's the same as, I guess, people who... I used to have... One of my good friends, I don't know if you watched this video, but he's the kind of guy that you would not think he plays video games. He's super good looking. He's very successful business job. You know, usually wears suits, drives a BMW, really good looking dude. But you know what? He goes home, instead of putting on shitty reality TV or watching The Bachelor or some crappy TV show that's boring and nine-marming, he plays video games. And he finishes them. And he plays a lot of them. And it's just what you enjoy, honestly. There's nothing wrong with, if you don't play video games, that's cool. But don't ever criticize someone who doesn't do the same thing as you. Like, you're going to meet people out there who love playing sport and they can't understand it. Or you're going to meet people who love cooking a lot and then they don't like anything else. And it's just the way your brain is wired, and I guess your experiences as well. So I guess me playing games, it just reminds you of the things I love. Experiences, connecting with people, seeing something from a different perspective as well. I'm a big thing about perspective. You probably heard me say the word perspective so many times. So, but anyway, that's the end of that discussion. What do you guys think of my opinions? Do you guys have anything to add or anything to say? Alex, you're a fucking piece of shit. Why did you even say that? And then flame me down below. I don't care. Go for it. Flame me. But if you want to have a nice, healthy discussion, please feel free to leave a comment down below or send me a message as well on Facebook. But I will link a link to the survey as well, so you can go check it out. The survey is just a more simple yes or no. But if you want to get a bit more in depth, more than happy to feel free to leave a comment. I can forward it on to the survey host, so help her with her assignment. So that, you know, I always love helping people out, especially for an in-depth topic like this. This was really cool. I had a good time doing this as well. I'm very passionate about games, and if I had spent like an hour on each question, I could probably write a nice, meaty, juicy answer. But yeah, just thinking off the top of my head, there's so many games that, like, literally every time I think of a game, like, there's so many games out there. Oh man, I don't even know how many things I finished. One day I'm going to actually look at how many I have. I reckon I've hit over 1,000 games. I reckon I've finished. Probably even 2,000. I wouldn't be surprised. Guys, like I said, thanks for watching. If you stayed around this far in the episode, you're a legend, man. I'm actually really glad that you're the kind of person that goes, hey, you know, Alex plays games. It's fun, it's entertaining, or sometimes the videos suck, and, you know, or he does unboxings. But sometimes it's cool to try something different. And yeah, I love having discussions. And my friends know that if you get me talking about video games, especially about something, we always have an intense discussion. Oh, amount of times, shouts out to one of my close friends out there. Him and I, the amount of times we had discussions about Mass Effect, far out, like characters and storyline and yada yada yada. And then other friends out there, we have discussions about Final Fantasy and that. Oh, games are awesome, man. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Please help this girl out, fill out the survey, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.